Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions, and it's time for another edition of Danny and Tim's Music Scene. It's such a pleasure every other Wednesday to get together and talk to Tim Finn about music, a longtime music writer and critic, and he is just, it's just a real kick every other week for me to get to talk to him. You can see his work at In Kansas City Magazine and other places, and hear him at 90.9 The Bridge. And, of course, here we are working our way into more and more shows to talk about, and people are not just tipping their toe in the water, but maybe diving in full form, and tours are starting up. Maybe the very biggest of those is not necessarily. Justin Bieber put off a tour until next year. Those things are such epic things with different rules in different places that probably not wanting to spend that kind of money if he's going to go to a place where they can't have that many people. But we also use the milestones of people unfortunately passing on or birthdays as jumping off points to talk about the likes of Tawny Katane, U2, with Bono having a recent birthday. We'll dive into U2 a little bit. I don't think we've really done that very often here. I don't think we've done it in depth ever, actually, with Tim. So there's all kinds of things to talk about. I will be headed to a show for the first time in a long time on Saturday as the Mavericks play at Knuckleheads. Bought a T-shirt for it. I'll talk about that a little bit. And we've got all kinds of things to talk about as well. We spread far and wide. Local venues are opening up. The smaller venues are. Musicians who have only been able to do a little bit online or whatever get to go to a pizza place, a restaurant, or a small bar and ply their trade, and that's fantastic too. It's all part of the mix on Danny and Tim's Music Scene. It's presented by Cinematic Visions. It's part of our Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday at the Reasonably Irreverent podcast, and it comes your way next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Visions' goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. The bitter cold snap in February was just another intense reminder of how important it is to have a quality heating and cooling company on your side. That's why you need to know about my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Jeff Dillon and his top-quality staff provide honest, affordable, and reliable service all year long. Their number one priority is taking care of the customer and focus on being genuine, always following through and standing behind what they say and do. If you need HVAC or AC repair, it's important you get help from a team of professionals. Dillon's Heating and Cooling's team can walk you through a range of products, the advantages of heating and cooling systems, and ultimately help you find the best HVAC system for you. They're always glad to answer your questions and set up an appointment for an installation consultation. Whether you're looking to upgrade to a newer model of your current system or need one installed in a new home, give my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling a call today at 913-214-0529. That's 913-214-0529, or visit dillonsheatingandcooling.com to answer all of your questions. Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Their slogan is their goal, always treating you like family.
Right now, it's more important than ever to support local businesses, and 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence is open and ready to take care of you. Make 23rd Street Brewery part of your KU game day experience, whether you watch the game there or grab curbside pickup for your tailgates or watch parties.
But not just game days, 23rd Street Brewery is great any day of the week, and when the weather's nice, you can take advantage of their heaters on the patio. 23rd Street Brewery is open daily from 11:30 to 9 for dine-in, carry-out, curbside pickup, and can even help with your catering needs.
So support local and visit a Lawrence favorite, 23rd Street Brewery.
I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Tim, we're moving along. We're moving ahead. I had a few things in my life that indicate the progress we're making in the world of music. I actually went online yesterday and bought me a Mavericks t-shirt for the show on Saturday night, which they're going to do at Knuckleheads. Of course, they're doing 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday. They are unplugged shows. I think they're still a little wary of people really carousing all that much. But so certainly looking forward to that, just a few days away for me. And, you know, it's kind of weird. I went on their site, and they had the merchandise there. And the T-shirt I liked the best, I clicked on it. It said sold out. I'm like, come on. Can't you make enough T-shirts to sell to everyone who wants one? So I had to take my second choice T-shirt. But something else I thought of the other day, we grilled actually for the first time out on the deck. My wife has a nice fancy new Bluetooth speaker to hook into our phones, and so she played some nice music during dinner that she selected, but actually she's kind of selected it for me because it was Mark Knopfler from early. It must have been an early mix of Dire Straits because it was all off Communique and things like that. And then when it was time for me to clean and do the dishes and everything else, I actually do have 4 Spotify little libraries that I have, and 3 of them are designed for when we have other people there. Now, certainly it's music that I like, but it's also music that I don't think will bother anyone in any way, shape, or form. But then there's one that's just mine, and that has all the harder rockers. It has maybe all the guilty pleasure things I like. And I wasn't in a particularly great mood when the evening started. I was kind of in a dark mood. And every single song, and I hadn't listened to I only listen to Spotify, basically, my Spotify thing when we're out on the deck. And so I hadn't listened to my little collection that I do for me in months. And it just lifted me out of the doldrums. Every single song I'd wait. The previous song would conclude, and I wonder what's going to come up. It was on shuffle play. And I'm like, what's going to come up next? And then it would come up, and I was like, oh, wow, that's so great. And first of all, I'm sitting there patting myself on the back going, you really have outstanding taste in music there, buddy. but secondly, it just made my mood, and it just shows what music can do.
Oh, it's a very emotional connection, more than I think anything else in my life, more than food, more than sports. It's up there with, child rearing for me. It goes back, it reaches in and gets, affects me in places deep in my, my emotional environments. And, my wife and I were sitting around, I can, listen to my phone through our television and its speakers. And I was just playing some music while we were sitting there and just like, oh, what, you want to watch something? And I was playing songs. She was like, just keep playing this. This is fine. And we're going back to stuff from the 60s. She's younger than me, but she was raised on oldies. So stuff in my youth she thinks is oldies, but that's fine. And but she loved it all, and we were hearing stuff I hadn't heard in a while. The Maria Muldaur song "Midnight at the Oasis." I hadn't listened to that, and the guitar playing that is just absolutely fascinating. The guitar lead, I forgot to look up who it was, but just going back and appreciating that. And you're right. It when you get immersed in that, it takes you away from everything. At least it does me, and just puts you in a really kind of an insular, protected place where it's reviving good memories and yeah, it's like a really warm and happy place for me. So I try to do it a few times a week, just go back and try to listen to stuff I've heard a lot, or just remember stuff I hadn't heard and listen to it again fresh for the first time in a while.
Well, you mentioned oldies, and we talked about this before we went on. That sometimes these days, a lot of times on this podcast, are things I'll look at in preparing for it, or just things I look at on a daily basis. I mentioned that I always look at the birthdays, and a lot of times it's just good news for me because I'm like, oh, hey, that guy's still alive. Monday there was somebody from the Spinners who's in his 80s, and I always loved the Spinners, and I like their music, and but also we have mileposts for people who pass away a lot because obviously the popular music that we followed, it be at the 70s or 80s, those people are of an age where they pass away. Now, sometimes it's too soon, but also we just see that certain things that we think of as just maybe that's just one moment in time have tremendous staying power if they were enough of a cultural phenomenon. And Tawny Kitaen passed away at the age of 59. Circumstances not really revealed, but that doesn't matter right now. It's tragic anyway. But she was the model who crawled around on the hood of the car in the famous Whitesnake video. And just the fact that just about anybody of a certain age in a 10 to 15 year pocket just absolutely positively remembers her name for one thing and remembers that video.
Right. She was in Bachelor Party too, which was a big deal for her, but probably even more prominently known for being really the first woman who played that role. And it was in a hair metal, glam metal band, and became so famous for it that she sort of became the role that was parodied or over caricatured, and when it became time to make fun of that genre. It was surprising to me how many people in my social media feeds said something, men and women, and how sad they were about it, and how to some of the women it was like there was something empowering about her, which I didn't see. The guys were like, "Oh yeah, the first hot girl in an MTV video. She was great." And you read about her, and she I guess for that video, she ended up marrying David Coverdale, who was the Whitesnake lead singer for a couple of years. But they brought in Paula Abdul to work with her, and Paula Abdul got a sense of what they wanted and said, well, show me what you can do. And Tawny Kitaen showed her doing what she does. But Paula Abdul was, well, what do you need me for? She's got it. I can't improve on that. Bye. See ya. And so she said, yeah, just keep doing that. That's fine. She became, the vanguard of that, where it's kind of like MTV and the record companies realizing if you're going to get boys and guys to watch this, you got to have more than just guys in makeup with hair as pretty as the models. You got to have some lure there. So I mean, it worked. Obviously, those videos were always very libidinous, and even if you didn't like the songs, you'd put up with it because you women were models and usually not wearing a whole lot.
Yeah, and that's actually one musical genre that could have come and gone without me caring much, and it is easily parodied. I guess some people would argue that there's obviously some good in any musical genre, but that one's pretty thin to me.
Well, the thing is about that genre, the songwriting, if you hear bands do, like I've heard country bands do a version of Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison, and who was the guy that was the lead singer for Warrant was a really good songwriter. Like some of those songs just were written really well as pop radio songs, and then they just went through the hair metal, glam metal mill, and yeah, I know that kind of excessive in so many ways, but yeah, I know what you mean. The first really big show I reviewed for the Star, because back then I was freelancing for the paper I was also working for, and I got the shows that none of the two main music writers wanted to do. And one of the very first big shows I did was, I think it was Poison, Warrant, and Rat out at Sandstone. And so it was a triple bill. It was raining, like it was absolutely miserable, but of course it was packed. It was absolutely packed. And I sort of begrudgingly developed an appreciation for, okay, I get why these people are here. It's not my thing, and I don't own an album by any of these bands, but sure are having fun on stage and, in the crowd.
No doubt about that, and actually, people who do like that genre of music are quick to really defend it, and that's what music's all about. You're
sure.
evangelical about the music that you like, and I'm constantly sending a song or a video or something like that. We rewatched, which we'll do probably every month or something, the Steve Winwood concert from 2004 on Soundstage, which is just an unbelievable. It's just one of the best hours of music I've ever seen, and his guitar playing on a couple of the songs is just absolutely fabulous. So I'm sending those off. I don't know if people even care or listen, but I do. So, but people just are. That's what the appeal of music really is. And one thing that we're getting to now is that people are going to start to get to have some choices as far as shows are concerned. We're getting there.
Oh yeah, it's like I was telling you before we went on. I have a friend, Chris Sagarian, who he and I worked together at the Star forever, and he became involved in Ink magazine, which started middle of the map. So Chris was involved in that, and he was one of the guys who helped, pick bands for Boulevardia, and he's got a radio show on the Bridge every Tuesday night at 6. So he plays a lot of local stuff. Anyway, one of the things he did, for years was compile a monthly list of shows coming to Kansas City, and getting down to the smallest of small venues. And of course, he stopped doing that for a year. And just beginning of the month or at the end of April, he compiled a list of things that had already been announced or booked at pretty much but a lot of venues in Kansas City, starting with what is the new Sandstone now called the Azura Amphitheater, but they've got a show coming up in late June with Styx and Collective Soul, BB's, a couple of really small places like Shawnee Pizza. This is what was really encouraging, is that places like Old Shawnee Pizza or Mike Kelly's West Sider, places that book the local musicians, singer-songwriters come in as a solo artist or a duo or a small trio, and play their music on Fridays and Saturdays. And, that for them, that a lot of those people, it was food money, it was rent money, it was, money that sustained them, and then let them, ply their trades, do what they love to do. So places like that are booking, like Mike Kelly's website was booked into mid-June. Old Shawnee Pizza, there's one in Lenexa, one in Shawnee. They've got a full calendar through May with some of my favorite local songwriters. And so at that end, it's starting to, shows are starting to reemerge.
And isn't that the most encouraging aspect? Because just of the sort of cloistered nature of those seem to be the places where there'd be the, maybe the last bit of resistance for some. For other people, they long since don't care. But when you're thinking of a club or a small pizza place or something like that, or a burger place where the person just sets up a kit in the corner, and that's about all they have room for. That's really encouraging. And also those are the musicians who either as just an absolute passion and they do something else, or that it's really their livelihood, or at least a good part of their livelihood. To see that coming back is heartwarming.
It is like Green Lady Lounge. She just says they're having live music every night again. So you've been there. And,
yes, that's great.
That's for the jazz audience, and a lot of the younger jazz bands play there. It's got a real big city feel to it, because the owner, at least from his performers, expects you dress up. You don't show up in cargo shorts and Birkenstocks. You
right.
dress like you're going to work, or you're playing at a wedding. So that's very encouraging. And like you said, a lot of these people, it's who are making a living, they were doing 8-10 gigs a week at places like this, going from one to the next, and it was keeping them afloat. And some of them were doing well with it, you know? So, and those are the people I worried about the most. And it's good to see that's coming back with them. And a lot of them are, you know, announcing it on social media. Like, I feel safe now. Some don't or are saying, you know, I'm going to wait a little bit, but I'm definitely happy that the places are open, and I'll see how it goes. So to me, that's really where it starts for me, because I'm glad, you know, the big places are going. The arenas, you know, the T-Mobile Center is announced its first show. I think it's in late. Let's see, where is it? It's early August. So I mean, if you're going to launch a venue with a new name to you know, reopen after a pandemic, who else would you want except Megadeth and Lamb of God? So that's August 7th at T-Mobile Center. Enjoy if you're going, because I don't think I'll be there, but you know, hey, it's a good sign. It's all good.
Yeah, we do still see the other side. I just saw the other day that Justin Bieber canceled his tour and is moving it to next year. And I guess maybe for some of these super gigantic enterprises, it's still maybe logistically and getting the manpower and everything else maybe just a little bit too much. And also, if you're doing a tour like that, I think the rules are different in different areas. And are you going to want to create a show that's really designed to have, you know, a gigantic audience, and maybe you can't have it in one venue, but you got to plan the tour for it. So for people like that, it's probably very complicated.
Well, that's absolutely a lot of those tours are banking that in 22, which is probably very safe to assume, we can put 15,000 people in the T-Mobile Center or wherever. Yeah, and I'm sure, like, if you're doing like Roger Waters, September of 22, because that's just a mammoth show with a lot of big moving parts. And yeah, you don't want to roll it in here and be limited to 8,000 people. You won't make money. So that's the obviously sensible thing to do. And Elton John is rescheduled for February. But T-Mobile has a lot of, I'm not sure why it matters, because when I pay my T-Mobile bill, they say Sprint Center on the other end. So for Sprint, welcome to Sprint. But anyway, they've got some shows scheduled. I guess they'll probably fill it in, but nothing what I would say huge, unless you think Andrea Bocelli is huge, and Mark Anthony. I mean, those are big names. But yeah, like we said, the big shows, the big arenas, the big venues outdoors and now indoors are booking things, and that's all good. But I'm most encouraged by the little clubs and venues, and you know, the places that are paying our working musicians are back up.
Absolutely the case. We got more to talk about with Tim Finn as we warm up musically, literally and figuratively. And we visit with Tim every other Wednesday. And, of course, you can hear him on 90.9 The Bridge, and you can see his work at In Kansas City Magazine. And all that's going to start probably cooking up a little bit more, too. And we'll visit with him more. Coming up next, always an enjoyable musical journey with Tim Finn right here on the Reasonably Irreverent podcast.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. You know, the storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodle from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active, and it's your job to make sure that they can stay active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that want to get back to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny. I'm here with David Schmidt from Private Capital. And David, tell us more about your outstanding firm.
Thanks, Danny. Here at Private Capital, we focus on return on asset. In today's world, it is survival of the fittest. We look at things from all angles and try to figure out what works best for you. The changes we will see this next year on assets will be monumental. The key to success is knowledge. Know where you want to go, and we'll be here along the way. To find out more, give us a call at 816-221-7775.
David Schmidt from Private Capital with the best service for you. We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlight Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it used on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company and Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back. We're visiting with Tim Finn. We, as I mentioned, do it every other Wednesday, and we're talking music, and we're talking milestones, and we're talking about shows coming back, and all kinds of refreshing things as far as the musical scene is concerned. And on Monday, turning 62 years of age, was Bono, and he, of course, from U2, and U2 exploded in the late 70s and became a huge, and to this day, arena band. And I think they're interesting because they're not a standard issue type of band. They're Irish. Their guitarist is really almost totally just a rhythm guitar player, The Edge, who's known as in the annals of guitar playing, but I think maybe some other people think he's not so great. And I think some people think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and other people think they're overblown. And we talked about parody before, and sometimes Bono is parodied for his overt politics to some or whatever. I just think they're an interesting mix.
They are, and I'm probably the epitome of some bands. When they came out, the first time I heard "I Will Follow," the song up the first record, it just blindsided me. Like because it came at a time it was kind of around, punk was still there, it was heading into post-punk, and I just loved everything about that song. For some reason, it just really got into me and under my skin, and I couldn't hear enough of it. And I was listening to a lot of bands at that point that sounded like that, so I just became a U2 loyalist, and I adored them, and did so until I reached a point where they just weren't striking me anymore like they did. I saw them several times, and a couple were stadium tours, which the more remote they are, just the harder it is to really feel anything. But they did perform here at Kemper in November of 2001, so it was just barely 2 months after September 11th, and they had altered the whole tenor and mood of their tour because of that, and there was a significantly emotional moment in that concert where they played the song "One," and while they were performing it, they projected the on a screen behind them, and then up onto the ceiling of Kemp Arena, the name of everyone who died, that on September 11th, and all the sites where there were, the planes had crashed. So, and that was just absolutely spine-tingling, and people were crying. And so I came away from that with deep respect for how they handled that. They didn't overdo it, and they said all the right things, and it was really well done. But now, I don't listen to them much, and when I do, it just feels like from such a long time ago. Like it hasn't traveled well for me, and I'm not sure why. And you're right, a lot of people, there's a lot of resentment for them, and it's almost 50-50 in my social media feed for U2, especially for Bono. A lot of love, and there's a lot of resentment, or I don't know if it's hatred, but it's a lot of mocking and other things.
And they have a handful of songs that really are among my favorite songs, maybe ever, like Desire and It's a Beautiful Day is a really strong song to me. And
New Year's Day, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a lot of, and it's anthemic and things like that. How did I've never seen them live in person, and how does it come off live?
Indoors it comes up just great, yeah. And the other thing, I saw them, they came to Arrowhead a couple of years ago for the anniversary of the Joshua Tree, and I realized during the show how I don't really care for the second half of that record. Wore out the first side, and it's kind of slow moving, and it's not really songs, written for, certainly not stadiums, maybe arenas, but so we're lagging a little bit. And then they did their all their hits, and I was too blown away by the opening set by Beck, who opened for them, and in 45 minutes just blew me away, because he just did everything you wanted to hear and some new stuff, and then U2 came out. It was like a little bit of a letdown, but I guess since I really fell in love with them, other bands have come along that have touched me in deeper ways that have aged better. So I have a soft spot for them, and when a song of theirs comes up, I listen to it and I like it. Like I said, New Year's Day, that record is one of my favorite. The Unforgettable Fire is a really good record. The early stuff, and then there are moments in their later records into the, like Octane Baby. A lot of people hate that record, but I really like a lot of it. But they just sort of became, piecemeal for me. There would be a couple songs on the record I liked, and I kind of felt like they were, when you get that wealthy and that popular, what inspires you to write changes or goes away. And I kind of felt like they were running a little bit out of gas. I think the same about Springsteen. Like he's like searching for reasons to write when they should just come to you, So maybe that's it. But sure, I could put together 25 songs of U2 that I like a lot. But other than that, they're not really on my radar much these days.
It is funny how sometimes that happens, and I'm trying to think of somebody who that I know there are, and when we're done, I'll think of a couple of bands that I at one time really, really liked, and then over time I'm like, well, I don't listen to them that much, and why? And then there's other times where what you say when you revisit somebody, you're like, oh damn, what have I been doing? Why haven't I been listening to this music? And I guess that's good because it means that you're revisiting it with a fresh eye, but it can swing both ways, can't it?
Oh yeah, it does. It does. But I mean that makes complete sense, because especially when you're talking about stuff you were listening to when you were really formative, and once you've lived a life, you've raised children, what was speaking to you back in your late teens or early 20s probably isn't going to speak to you the same way as a very grown adult. But that's why bands like, with REM, I re-listened to Murmur, after it had its birthday recently. It was, I could tell exactly why I fell in love with that sound and with that record, and it felt just as strong. So it's something a little more abstract than, U2's stern and overt political, motives and stances. So that, which is part of the reason I think that music has faded a little for me. It feels a little out of context.
No question about that. Well, we certainly are warming to the task. And how are you as far as, I know you still had some reticence. Are you getting less and less reticent about potentially going to certain things as we talked about the smaller venues?
Yeah, so my, like I like to say, my vaccine graduated on Saturday, so I'm
right. Me too.
I'm full to go. I feel pretty safe. When I go to, I went to the farmers market here in the Overland Park on Saturday. It's outdoors. I brought a mask, but I didn't wear it much because it was outside and there weren't a whole lot of people there. But when I go to Hy-Vee, there are people walking around without them. Not still, 3-to-1 mask wearing, but that ratio is definitely, closing in. And if it gets, I pretty much leave it on because they're too easy to be in a cluster of people. And I'm like, why? It's, I can tolerate this for 5 minutes. Not a big deal. So, yeah, I guess I'll just see. There's a couple of things at Lemonade Park we're thinking about going to. So, we'll test it there. As long as it's outdoors, I'll feel, pretty much completely safe, no matter what. But I don't know about anything big indoors. That's going to take a leap for me.
Yeah, I guess you just have to do it and see how you feel, how comfortable you are. 'Cause
yeah.
The last thing you want to do is go to something that you perceive as enjoyable, and then you're just like, ooh,
freaking out.
I want to leave. But I'll be able to report next time around about Friday's show of the Mavericks. Of course, that is outside and always at the vagaries of the weather. Looks like it's okay right now, but it's always fun to start dipping our toes into the water, and we'll visit about it again next time.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to hear how that went because I'm glad for Frank and everybody else. That's going to be a fun show no matter what, unplugged or not. Good luck stopping people from dancing, though. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, have a blast.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Cinematic Visions, an affordable and award-winning solution for professional media production since 2003.